Hey, love, welcome back. Today's episode is going to feel like one of those long, cozy conversations where you and I are curled up on the couch in yoga pants, coffee in hand, no makeup, no pressure, just going deep. My favorite. Because I want to talk about something that lives in those quiet, tender places inside of us. Something I know so many women are feeling right now, but don't always have the words for. It's that moment when you wake up and realize, I've forgotten who I am. Not just in the day-to-day roles that we play, but at a soul level, and the wild, beautiful, sometimes uncomfortable journey of remembering. So if you've been feeling off lately, like something's missing, like you're not quite you, this episode is for you. Let's talk about why we forget, how we remember, and what changes when we do. Let's start with something that used to honestly mess with my head. I used to ask myself, how did I get so far away from me? I had done the healing, I had checked the boxes, I had the success. But still, something inside of me felt off, like I'd lost the thread of who I really was. And then I learned about this ancient spiritual concept called the veil of forgetting. It's this idea that before we incarnate into this life, we actually choose to forget who we are, our divine nature, our soul essence, our truth, so that we can remember it from within. It's part of the soul's agreement and our learning because Earth is a free will zone and you can't force remembrance. You get to choose it. And that's a big distinction. And that's what makes it sacred and also why not everyone does. But it also means it can be a lot to handle. We don't forget because something is wrong with us. We forget because we're human. And I just want to name that like right up front. So if you've been judging yourself or thinking, why can't I feel like myself anymore? There is absolutely nothing wrong with you. So what does this actually look like in real time? Because let's be honest, most of us don't just wake up one day thinking, oh, yes, I have spiritually forgotten who I am. It's not that obvious. For me, the forgetting didn't show up as a breakdown or some massive life event. It was super subtle. It looked like becoming really good at playing my roles: the corporate executive, the mom, the supportive wife, the mentor, the woman who had it all together, who held space for everyone else, who kept showing up and doing the work. I collected masks over time without even realizing it. Masks of who I thought I needed to be loved, to be successful, to be taken seriously, to be spiritual enough or not too spiritual. And before long, I wasn't just wearing those masks. I absolutely believed I was them. It's like being cast in a play, and after a while, you forget you're the actor. You actually start believing you are the character. And that's what conditioning does to us. It makes you forget, it rewards the performance, and it ultimately reinforces the mask. But there was this one moment, and I'll never forget it. I had finished a work call. The house was quiet, and instead of jumping into the next task, I did something I didn't usually do. I got still and I sat in silence. And I let myself actually feel what was going on in my body. And in that space, I felt something deep inside of me, like this quiet presence, a version of me that had been buried under years of proving and pleasing and pushing through. I couldn't see her clearly yet, but man, I could feel her. I could hear her faintly, like a whisper from my own soul saying, hey, I'm still here. Let me out. That whisper shook me because in that moment, I realized I had never lost her. I had just completely stopped listening. So I have to share something with you. My absolute favorite quote from a movie, hands down, comes from Hook. If you haven't seen it, it's this brilliant reimagining of Peter Pan, but he's grown up, he's lost his magic, and completely forgotten who he really is. Robin Williams plays Peter, and honestly, he's just this overworked, disconnected adult who's totally out of touch with his joy. Can anyone relate? And then there's this moment. It's quiet and it's simple, but it wrecks me every time I see it. One of the Lost Boys walks up to Peter, gently places his hands on his face, and just stares at him for a few seconds into his eyes. And this little boy is trying to find something familiar in him. And then he says, "Oh, there you are, Peter." Oh, like it gets me every single time because that's that moment of remembrance. That's not just movie magic, that's like soul magic. It's not dramatic, it's not flashy, it's just one person recognizing the truth that had been there all along. And I think we all have our own version of that. That moment where something or someone cuts through the noise and mirrors your authentic essence back to you. Sometimes it's in a conversation. Sometimes it's a song, or it could come in a dream. And sometimes it's just when you're brave enough to sit in silence and in stillness. Here's the part I wish more people talked about. Remembering isn't always pretty. It's not all rainbows and unicorns, as much as I wish it was. Sometimes it's crying in your car for no reason. Sometimes it's feeling angry or disoriented because the life you built doesn't feel aligned for you anymore. Sometimes it's grieving the woman you thought you had to be. I remember when I started reconnecting to my truth, I felt so raw, like all my nerve endings were just hanging out. I would cry over songs or sappy commercials. I had full body chills during meditations. I felt waves of emotion that didn't make logical sense to me or to my logical mind. It was like my soul was coming back online. And at the same time, I was letting go of 100 versions of me that I didn't even realize I was still carrying. It's messy and it's beautiful and it's so holy and it's not at all linear. There are days you feel magnetic and alive, like you're finally in the flow, you've finally arrived, you've finally made your way through it. And then there are days you feel like you're falling apart again. But that's all part of it because when you remember who you are, you start feeling everything again. And that is a gift. So once you remember even just a little bit, things will start to shift. You stop choosing from fear or obligation. You start choosing from what feels aligned. Emphasis on what feels, because you realize your body has always been your dedicated GPS system when you utilize her properly. You'll say no without guilt. You'll say yes without second guessing yourself. You move differently through the world and you lead differently. You even receive differently. Yes, you even feel worthy of receiving all the gifts that have been circling around in your energetic field, just waiting for you to believe in your worth to receive them. You're no longer chasing your life. You're living it. You're alive. And listen, this doesn't mean everything becomes easy or perfect, but it does become authentic to you. And authenticity is so magnetic. I always say you don't need to do more. You just need to be aligned. That's when the opportunities flow in. That's when the relationships shift. That's when the universe starts responding to the real you. So if you're listening to this and thinking, wow, I think I've forgotten myself too, or maybe you're smack in the middle of that sacred, messy remembering, I just want you to know this. You're not behind, you're not messed up, and you're certainly not lost. You're in it. And you're reconnecting with the real you. I created something to support you on that journey. It's called the Magnetic Woman Code. It is a self-paced mini course that helps you reconnect to your soul blueprint, understand your life path number, and begin aligning with your natural magnetism. It is an amazing place to start. It's only $11 and it's designed to feel like a remembrance ceremony that you can return to again and again. And I'd also love for you to come join us inside the Magnetic Woman Facebook group. This is a completely free space, and it's where I show up weekly with teachings, voice activations, and just check-ins to support you as you remember. It's a special space with the most incredible women, and you are so welcome inside of there. You can find links to both in the show notes, and if this episode spoke to your heart, will you share it with a sister who's on this journey too? Be the kind of sister who gently cups her face and says, Oh, there you are. And I am so, so glad you're back. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being on this journey and for remembering. And thank you for walking this path with me. Till next week, keep shining, sister.